Hello, good evening. It's the last day of the month and you are welcome to the major news bulletin on Metro TV. We are transmitting to you live from our studios here in Laboni, Accra. Let's have a look at the top stories for tonight's bulletin. Energy expert proposes efficient financial engineering to settle the huge debt owed power companies, else the cycle of load shedding will never end. Timely intervention by the National Fire Service prevents a major disaster at the Makola market. Also coming up, pressure group Let My Vote Count wins case against police and describes the circuit court injunction that stopped their planned protest last September as a step on Ghana's fledgling democracy. An NPP flag bearer Nana Adodanko Akufo-Addo returns home today after a short trip to the UK. You're welcome again. Now let's begin the news bulletin with what happened in court today. And pressure group Let My Vote Count has won its case, challenging the legality of a circuit court injunction sought by the police in September this year. Justice Dominic Denis Ajay, who presided, ruled that it was improper for the police to seek the injunction at a lower court. Convener of the group, David Asante, says they feel vindicated and emboldened to pursue their demand.
I feel elated. I am very excited. Democracy has won at the end of the day. So this is good news for us. Yeah, really, the motivation for which we sought clarification on this particular matter isn't so much because we are passionate about demonstrations unnecessarily, but really, the precedent must be established that one cannot just wake up one morning and abuse the fundamental human rights of others. So we are very excited because the court ruled and the judge was emphatic that the police can no longer go to the circuit court to secure injunction to prevent demonstrators from demonstrating because the circuit court do not have jurisdiction over that matter. Secondly, the judge was also emphatic in his ruling and he stated that whenever the police for any reason desire to prevent demonstrators from embarking on demonstration, they should go to the court on notice, meaning go to the court with the parties involved. The demonstrators must be called along to the court with the police to individually make their case to a justice of the High Court. And finally also, the interpretation of the Public Order Act, which says it is only a justice of the court or chairman of a regional tribunal who can grant an ex-parte injunction to stop demonstrators from demonstrating, interpreted to mean it is only a High Court which is presided over by a justice who is referred to as his lordship. Circuit courts do not have justices who are referred to as his lordship. Our democratic rights will be consolidated for future practice of democracy in this country. We are happy the precedent has been established. It's early days yet for us to determine or see what we are up to, but all I can say is that we fought this case aggressively to establish the judicial precedent so that the rights of individuals to congregate and to assemble and to embark freely on such a constitutionally accepted practice will not be curtailed. So really, we need to sit back again and roll out new strategies in our fight to deepen our democracy, where in the interim, what we are looking at classically is the new voters register matter. I can't tell you on authority what next our line of action will be. We need to sit and determine what next. But I can assure you, we've not given up on the fight for new voters register as part of deepening our democracy. The fight is still on.
Well, in other stories, government says all arrangements regarding fueling the power barge and related financial issues have been cleared. Barring technical challenges, the 225 megawatts is expected to be added to the national grid in 2 weeks from now.
The car power barge, the largest Turkish foreign direct investment in Ghana, is valued at about $30 million US. Engineers are working around the clock to kickstart production. Officials project the anticipated 225 megawatts will be added to the national grid about 2 weeks from now. Ghanaians are very expectant, but the Power Minister, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, is urging the public, especially the media, not to overhype it. He admits the barge is not the panacea to the energy crisis.
Within the last week, we lost 5 transformers in the TEMA area to vandalism. People wanting to steal copper, people wanting to steal fuel oil from the transformer. Of course, when that happens, there will be a localized outage. That I cannot be responsible for. And that is why we make that distinction. Of course, a transformer may get overloaded, and with the new transformers we are installing, the very state-of-the-art transformers, when it's overloaded, it will cut. And when this happens, there will be localized outages. But in terms of load shedding, which arises out of an inadequacy in generation, we will bring that to an end.
He also speaks about how the facility will be fueled.
PC has signed a fuel sale agreement with Trafigura and also with CalPower. So that is also been taken care of.
Chief Executive of Cardinals Holdings is optimistic the barge will commence production in 2 weeks, barring any difficult challenges.
From a technical side, we didn't have any delays or rescheduling issues. It was implemented exactly as planned. But as I said, some administrative financial issues also need to be sorted out. And I do think that, as I said, in a matter of weeks, as quickly as possible, but latest in a couple of weeks, this should be on the grid, giving uninterrupted power.
Ghana has been experiencing power crisis for the past 3 years, and the crisis, which is currently at its worst stage, has been blamed on poor investments over the years. The Mahama-led administration has been heavily criticized for failing to meet deadlines promised, but the Power Minister assures that may be over by the close of the year.
Well, so you heard members of the government saying all financial issues have been cleared. But Executive Director of the African Center for Energy Policy is calling for immediate steps to resolve what he describes as financial liquidity problems, which have become an albatross on government's neck. Mohamed Amin believes prudent measures will ensure Ghana does not go through this cycle of load shedding.
I think it's refreshing that the Barge has finally arrived, and I am happy that it is going to add some 220 megawatts of generation capacity to what we already have. One thing is having generation capacity. The other thing is running the plants. And as I continue to say, the industry faces its major financial crisis. The inter-utility debt is about 1.5 billion US dollars. VRA's short-term debts have risen to about 800 million US dollars. Now, you may have power coming from CalPower Barge, but you may not be getting power from our traditional barges if VRA is not able to solve its financial crisis. And
the energy expert disagrees with the position of Power Minister that he came to resolve the load shedding problem and not Dumsor.
When the minister said that he will end load shedding, but not Dumsor, I have a very serious problem with that. Because load shedding is better than Dumsor. Many people will be surprised when I say this. But the reality is that if you have a program that today you will not have power, or for this hour you will not have power, especially for industry, you make your alternative arrangement.
Power produced by the power barge is expected to feed into the national grid in the next 2 weeks. Frank Nyonato, Metro News, Accra.
You're welcome back from the break. Let's do some more stories now, where the NPP's flag bearer, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, is urging supporters not to be dispirited by internal wranglings, but focus on exposing the rot within the NDC-led government. He was addressing members of the party as part of his tour in the United Kingdom. A press release issued by the party said Nana Addo is expected home today.
Whilst the leadership of the party is doing its best to bring sanity and peace within the NPP, Nana Akufo-Addo urged members of the party, especially those in the diaspora, not to inflame the situation from afar, but rather spend energies against the disastrous Mahama NDC administration.
You can also help. Don't inflame the situation from afar. Tell your friends and relations to accept that all of us in the NPP are on the same side. And we should spend our energies against the disastrous Mahama NDC administration. And our task is easier if we are together. Tell them our opponents are the NDC.
According to the NPP flag bearer, some of the reports about the happenings within the NPP are exaggerated, adding that the party now has a good reason to believe that a lot of it is being instigated from outside. He urged all NPP members to be minded about the fact that they are heirs of the noblest political tradition in Ghanaian politics and the most durable. He added that the tradition has survived the deaths, detentions and exiles of the First Republic. It has survived the various military takeovers of Ghanaian history. Out of it all, it has emerged as the most formidable political party in the country with the clearest message of freedom, progress and prosperity.
And now, the Director General of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GBC, Major Abed Donchebe, retired, has been elected as the President of the African Union of Broadcasting, AUB. Major Donchebe takes over the presidency from Mr. Taufik Keladi, Director General of the Algerian Broadcasting Corporation, who occupied the position for 4 years. The election took place on the 9th Annual General Meeting of the AUB in Abuja, Nigeria, on the 27th of November 2015. The AUB is the Continental Umbrella Association for all broadcasting companies in Africa. It has a membership of 48 national broadcasting entities within 15 private broadcasting companies as associate members. AUB is headquartered in Dakar, Senegal, and is affiliated to the African Union. And in some more stories, the embattled president of the National Union of Ghana Students, Michael Kwasi, has stated that he is still the president of the union in spite of the court injunction brought against him at the Accra High Court by some NUGS executives challenging his legitimacy. He was speaking to the media at a press briefing in Accra.
The National Union of Ghana Students, at its second National Executive Committee meeting, took a decision to set aside its president, Kwasi, over 2 court cases, one at the Medina Magistrate Court and a second at the Accra High Court, challenging his legitimacy as president over his qualifications as a student. But the embattled president at the media briefing has argued that the National Executive Committee meeting was illegal since it did not form a quorum, requiring at least 7 members. Kwasi maintained that the National Executive Committee does not have the locus to suspend him.
Per the NUGS Constitution, for a NEC meeting to be called, there are only 2 categories of people who can call for NEC meeting. 1, the president, and 2, at the request of 1/3 members of the NEC. And even when 1/3 members of the NEC are calling for a meeting, they will have to write to the Secretariat 7 clear days, at least 7 clear days before their proposed date and venue. And even that, it is still the responsibility of the president to call the NEC meeting at the request of these people.
He called on those who argue that he is not a student to check his records with the registrar of the University of Professional Studies.
There is no other president except Michael Kwasi, and I'm the one seated here. If you deal with any other person, you are dealing that at the peril of your image being damaged. And the union will take actions against you. The Central Committee of this union and Congress are the only bodies of the union who have the powers to suspend, to remove, or impeach any officer. In any case, we even set aside. CC have not set me aside. Congress have not set me aside. How come NEC? I remain the president of the students of Ghana, and I shall fight for the students of Ghana, even if at the last drop of my blood.
Meanwhile, the acting NUGS president, Ferdinand Boachi-Boateng, in a telephone interview with Metro News, has justified the Madina Magistrate Court's interim injunction on Michael Kwasi, ordering him to stop carrying himself as NUGS president with immediate effect.
The injunction was that NEC of the National Union of Ghana Students had earlier resolved that the president at that time, that was Mr. Michael Kwasi, should step down or should step aside as president of the union while the general secretary took over just as the constitution required, because of the court issues that he was going through, and that he should come back after the court had cleared him of all the charges that had been leveled against him.
Well, so Kwasi says he remains the president of the students of Ghana. Now, away from that, the Vice President, Kwasi Emisawatha, has appealed to Ghanaians to voluntarily donate blood at least thrice a year to adequately stock the National Blood Bank. Speaking at a special ceremony to commemorate National Blood Donor Day, the Vice President expressed his utmost commitment to ensuring the passage of the Blood Service Bill.
The National Blood Donor Day is organized once a year to thank voluntary non-remunerated blood donors and create more awareness to encourage people to freely donate blood to save lives. During a special ceremony to commemorate the Blood Donor Day, Vice President Kwasi Emisawatha and Health Minister Alex Segbefia expressed their utmost commitment to institute measures for efficient blood service.
We need support, recruitment of voluntary, non-remunerated blood donors from educational institutions, from NGOs, from the corporate sector, from faith-based organizations, and from my friends in the media.
I personally pledge, as Minister of Health, to donate blood at least once before the end of this year. I pledge my ministry's support to facilitate the passage of the Blood Service Bill, which will ensure a well-coordinated blood service.
Ajiman Bafo Kwasi emerged the 2015 overall best blood donor for donating 55 times. Ajiman, together with other awardees, received citations and electronic appliances.
3 or 4 months, the blood in you breaks down and then the body produces another one. So if you are healthy, why would you want the blood to break down? Why don't you donate to save other people's life?
Yeah, I've donated 5 times and I'm so happy I've saved 5 lives. Yes, I would like to donate 1,500 times if only I have the chance to do so.
Earlier in the day, a massive float was held through the principal streets of Accra to enlighten people and encourage them to donate.
You're welcome back from that break. It's now time for business, and the timely intervention of the fire service averted a deadly fire outbreak at Makola Market on Monday afternoon. That's exactly this afternoon. Now, generators used by some shops in the open caught fire and gutted 5 shops, destroying several wares.
It's a bag.
This sums up the frustration and the extent of damage caused by the fire at a section of the Makola Market opposite Rollins Park. The fire, according to eyewitnesses, started around noon when generators lined up in the open due to a power outage caught fire. About 4 shops were damaged, with several wares running to thousands of cedis destroyed.
Why can't the government, in its own wise way, make sure that the business area get light for the day, so that night time we are light off, and then intensify the security here, so that life must go? Why can't?
Shop owners blame the incidents on the current load shedding exercise.
It's too much. Let off it's too much. Papa President John Mama, one bubble fight, what can you money on winning bubble fight? Oh, fine, a light there. There can light there, how? What pure VAT, what pure income tax, what pure Nina Amma, what pure Nofiano, and what that time in our light, Connie Becker, or police free patrol, Kona Mekoni Biami, one qualify.
The timely intervention by the fire service, however, saved the situation. The fire compelled fire officers to move around the market and ordered shop owners to remove generators in the open. Officers who spoke to Metro News off camera called for regulations on the usage of generating sets at markets across the country.
Well, so it's now time for sports with my colleague Prince, who is here with me in the studio. Prince, what exactly do we have in sports this evening?
Well, there's a lot of sports news trending today. We stay close tabs on the head coach of the senior national team, the Black Stars, Avram Grant. Will be telling you a lot more about his press conference. And then over the weekend, there was a National Paralympic Festival. We'll bring our viewers up to speed with what happened there. Sports is next. My name is Prince, and now let's take our first story, where Black Stars coach Avram Grant says there's no discrimination between local and foreign players. According to him, any Ghanaian player is a local player, and went on to say that it is the fans who are bringing division into the team by tagging the players as local or foreign based. He was speaking to the press earlier today.
For me, any Ghanaian is Ghanaian. It doesn't matter if he's here or if he's out. I don't divide them, I'm sorry to say. For me, all of them is Ghanaian. For me, everybody is local. Sorry to say. Everybody is local. Even if he's not here, he's Ghanaian. What can I say? All the players that play in national team did everything. You cannot complain about this team, even one player that didn't give everything. I'm not dividing them. For me, there is not players that play in Europe and play there. Everybody for me is Ghanaian. Until the GFA will decide different, the country will decide that we need to divide them. I will not divide them. For me, only the quality.
Avram Grant is the head coach of the senior national team, the Black Stars. Let's move on to some para-athletic news now, where physically challenged athletes have been advised to come out and show their sports skills in order to be recognized nationally. Dan Divan Group of companies have given every indication of supporting the physically challenged when they hosted the National Paralympic Sports Festival here in Accra.
The National Paralympic Sports Festival was held over the weekend in Accra, with athletes competing in selected events. Over 40 para-sports athletes, including some senior national athletes from the Greater Accra, Eastern, Brona-Hafo, Northern and Ashanti regions competed in wheelchair racing, hand cycling, wheelchair basketball and wheelchair tennis to the admiration of the spectators. The likes of Alfred Ajete-Sowa, Richard Mensah, Emmanuel Ajere and Aisha Tusedu took the first positions in hand cycling. McLean Gideon showed his class in the wheelchair race and wheelchair tennis, thus confirming the fact that with the right preparations, the 2016 Paralympics should bring Ghana laurels. According to Daniel Nimensa, the success of the event has confirmed its annual status.
This sports that we are having today here is also going to be an annual kind of event to bring and throw more light to people with disability and to celebrate them and let them feel being part of our society. So that's what is happening here.
Technical Director for the National Paralympic Committee, Sesi Jakpasu, believes that the collaboration with both the private and public sectors are paramount in ensuring that physically challenged athletes receive their due in sports development.
We want to ask that
all these other institutions should, invest in para sports. Most of the medals that come to Ghana, comes from para sports. The just ended All Africa Games is a clear example of it. We have 3 medals from para sports, silver medals. And you can imagine if you juxtapose the number of players that took part from the para side versus the number of medals that came in against the other events, other disciplines, you'd want to throw your investment behind para sports.
That's it for sports. Thank you very much for watching, and the news continues right after this break. Well, so we are about to round up, but just before that, let's do this one, which says, the office of the former President, Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, has cautioned the media to be circumspect in their reportage in drawing the person of the former president into a child custody fight concerning his daughter, Dr. Zenato Rawlings. The warning was specifically to classfmonline.com, which had reported that the former president was mediating in a child custody fight concerning his daughter. Except of the statement said the publication by Class FM Online are total false and a figment of their own imagination. It said the matter is currently in court and advised the press to be circumspect in drawing the person of the former president into it. Well, thank you very much for staying with us for the past 30 minutes. We do appreciate your time with us. My name is Kwasi. Keep watching Metro TV.